Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to the channel. So in this video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to properly analyze the forex market. This will be part one of a three-part series. In case you're wondering who I am, I'm my first degree. Welcome to the channel. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you all for all of your support. Without any further ado, let's get straight into the chart.
The first thing you have to know when being on the chart and when you just open the forex chart is that you have to be able to identify key zones. Some people call it key zones, some people call it key levels, some people call it support and resistance levels, things like that. But basically you have to identify the levels in which markets and price respected before in the past. In case you are still very confused and you don't understand how all of this looks, the best and the easiest way to analyze the market, to analyze the charts, is actually going up here and clicking on these candles. You make the candles a line candle rather than it being a normal candle. Rather than it being candles, you can change this to a line. This will allow you to be able to spot these levels that I talked about easier. So let's see the levels that we have currently on the chart. Basically what I did now is mark out all the levels, the important psychological levels or the important levels of support and resistance. You can call them whatever you want. As you can see on the right side, it's always advised that you should round up your psychological numbers to the nearest 100 or to the nearest 50. So basically here I have 0.63400, 69350, 75150 and 81600. And you can see on the chart that they are all connected, they are all touching. Price reacted very well from these zones and price reacted multiple times. You can see like on this 0.75150 we have the first reaction here, a resistance reaction, a support reaction, and another resistance reaction. That already validates that this is indeed a psychological level. You can see on the second one we have 0.69350. We see a reaction of support here, a reaction of support here again, and multiple reactions of support here, support, and a reaction of resistance on 69350. And now we can also clearly see on 63400 we have a reaction of support here, a support zone formed here, a resistance here, another resistance here, and the last zone, which is 81600, we have a resistance formed here, another resistance formed here, and a support formed here. Now that we are done analyzing the weekly time frame, we can now go back to the candlesticks since we are done with the line charts, and we're going to move down from the weekly time frame all the way to the daily time frame. Now I've presented all my zones on the weekly time frame with a W so that we know that these zones are all the resistance and support zones from the weekly time frame. Going to the daily time frame, as you can see, we can't really go too far behind, because since we are trading what's going on the side, we don't want to go all the way back to like the year 2017 or something. We already have our zones on the weekly and we already know that, okay, these are our weekly zones. Now we're going to look forward to our daily zones. I'm going to focus basically on what is on the screen right now. So I'm going as far as back as 2019, 2018, which I don't really need to go that far behind, but we can go that far behind. And we can clearly see that price formed a form of support here, because we see the first bounce here and the second bounce. Once there is two bounces on a single line, we can classify that as a point of support. And now, as we did on the weekly and as we did previously, we are going to change from our candles to a line charts. So we can clearly see, okay, since we had a week, let me just show you this. We had a week mitigating this, so we still count this as support. We don't really need to change to the line chart here anymore, but in order to mark out clear and a more defined zones of support and resistance on the daily time frame, I'll make this a D. So in order to mark out clear and defined zones on the daily time frame, so this is going to be our D, because we have two bounces, two reactions on the daily time frame. And now let's look for more zones here. To see the inner zones, I don't really see much, honestly. There isn't much on NZD USD for the daily time frame. There isn't much support and resistance, but we'll see more when we go on lower time frames. But for now, we have clearly marked out the major zones, which are these zones here. There's a weekly zone here. There is also a weekly zone here, which respected well on the daily time frame. There are multiple zones here. This was also respected on the daily time frame from the weekly time frame. And yeah, since we are done with the daily time frame now, we're going to move down to the hour 4 time frame. Now that we're on the hour 4 time frame, the first thing which I always tell you guys to do is we always have to activate line charts in order for us to see what we normally wouldn't see on candlesticks. So we'll activate the line charts. You can see we can't really go that far behind because we can only go as far back as 2023, which is okay. It's enough data on the charts for us to analyze, honestly. So I'm going to just put this here like this. Now let's pick up the zones that we can see from the back. Basically, I'm done marking out all the psychological levels that I could find on the H4 time frame. You can see that, as usual, they are all rounded up to the nearest 50, the nearest 50, and the nearest 100 here. We can see from our point 0.58650, we have multiple support here, we have resistance here, we had support here, we had support here. Makes it valid psychological level. We had 0.6050, we had support here, a resistance here, a resistance here, a support, a resistance. These are all the valid psychological levels that we had on our 4 time frame. In case you guys are wondering what makes a psychological level valid, you have to see multiple reaction of price from that point. And as you can see, the last one we had on the H4 here is 0.62100. We had a resistance form here, a support here, a resistance here, a resistance here, resistance here, resistance here. There are just a bunch of resistance supports on those psychological levels I just marked out. And this is all we need to know for the H4 time frame. This is all the data we can get, the support and resistance levels we can get, the psychological levels we can get. And the next point, what we're going to be doing now is we'll first move back to our candles, and we can now move forward to a lower time frame than this. Now we are in the 1 hour time frame. We have our 4 hour zones marked out here already, and now we'll do the same thing we did for the 4 hours, basically on the 1 hour time frame. So first off, you always remember you have to go to the line chart, and now I'm going to mark out all the zones that I can see, and I'll tell you guys about it. So now guys, I just finished marking up all the levels I can see. There were 2 major levels on the H1 time frame. We can see this level of 59800 and 61400. As you guys can see, there are multiple reactions from these zones. Like you can see a couple of resistance zones here. This was support, a resistant reaction, a support reaction. So on the next level, we had support reaction here, a resistant reaction, a resistant reaction here, a support reaction, a support reaction. So these are the 2 levels that I could find in the H1 time frame, the 59800 and the 61400. So now we can actually go back to candles and see that price really indeed respected these zones as we saw on the line charts. This is going to be as far down as I can go, because I always recommend that you start from the weekly time frame, you move to the daily time frame, then from the daily you move to the 4 hour time frame, from the 4 hour time frame you move to the 1 hour time frame, and you stop there, because going any lower than this, price won't really respect those zones. Price don't really see those zones as valid psychological levels. So 1 hour time frame is the least you can go for psychological levels, which I will also advise you guys to go. 1 hour time frame, the least you can go. As you guys can see how neatly and how clean our chart is looking now, which I showed you guys how I made my analysis from the beginning up to this very moment. You can see it's looking very nice now. The chart is looking very much understandable. We can see our resistance zones, we can see our support zones, we can see many things on the chart. The chart has become very easy and much more easier for us to read. The next part of this video now is going to be on trends, because trends is the next thing. We've talked about support and resistance. We're going to talk about trends. Then after we've talked about trends, the last we're going to talk about in this video is going to be supply and demand.
With that being said, we have come to the end of part 1 of this 3-part series. Remember, for part 2 we're going to be talking about trends, and part 3 is going to be mainly about supply and demand. If you don't want to miss out on those videos, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications so that whenever I upload that video, you are going to be notified, you're going to be aware of it. I thank you all for reaching this part of the video, and I hope to see you again next video. Have a lovely, safe, and an amazing day. Goodbye, everybody.